Before you move in with a woman, you need to know this. Right now, thousands of men are signing the riskiest contract of their lives without reading a single clause. They call it love. You are about to discover the truth no one dared to tell you, and the exact protocol to avoid losing your identity, your money, and your personal power during this transition. If you ignore this now, you will pay dearly later. You believe that moving in together is the ultimate test of love, that if you truly love each other, everything will naturally fall into place. Bills will divide themselves, chores will flow, space will organize itself by magic. Is that what you truly believe? Then you are being set up for the biggest shock of your life. Because moving in together is not a test of love. It is a brutal test of value compatibility, emotional maturity, and both parties' strategic negotiation skills. Love is the fuel, but without an engine, without direction, without a map, you will be stranded in the middle of an emotional desert. And the cruel truth is this: most men enter this fusion of lives like someone entering a dream, and waking up to a silent nightmare made of accumulated resentment, lost autonomy, and evaporated attraction. Here is the formula for the problem. The less you plan beforehand, the more you pay later. The more you assume, without negotiating, the less respect you receive. Moving in together without pre-qualification and explicit agreements is transferring control of your life to chance and hoping it works out. Now pay attention, because I am going to name exactly what you need to do. This is not romantic theory. This is relationship engineering. First, behavioral pre-qualification. You need to observe her behavioral patterns under stress, regarding money, family, and friends, before you sign anything. How does she react when an unexpected financial event occurs? Does she panic, blame someone, or seek solutions? How does she handle constructive criticism? Does she listen and adjust, or does she shut down and attack? Do you think you know someone in the first 6 months of romance? You don't. You know the edited version, the performance version. The real version appears when the pressure mounts, when money gets tight, when family demands, when fatigue hits. If you haven't observed her in these real situations before moving in together, you are buying a car without test driving the engine. Second, the cohabitation agreement. I am not talking about a cold legal contract. I am talking about sitting down and explicitly discussing expectations and boundaries regarding finances, household chores, and personal time. Who pays for what? How do you split the bills? 50-50, proportional to income, or another model? Who does what around the house? Who cleans? Who cooks? Who handles the paperwork? And most importantly, how much time does each person have for themselves, for their own hobbies, for their own friends? Does it sound mechanical? Does it sound cold? Do you know what's truly cold? Waking up 2 years from now, feeling like you've been deceived, exploited, suffocated, and having no prior agreement to reference. Clarity at the beginning is what allows the warmth to last. Third, maintaining your individual frame. You need to ensure that both of you maintain distinct hobbies, friends, and personal spaces. He continues with his weekly poker night. She continues with her book club. He has his office. She has her studio. Why? Because attraction needs polarity. Because respect needs autonomy. When you abandon everything that defines you to completely merge with another person, you don't become one, you become half. And half a man attracts no one. The woman who pressured you to abandon your friends and hobbies will be the first to lose interest when you transform into an emotional satellite orbiting around her. Fourth, the financial stress test. Simulate difficult scenarios. Openly discuss debts and monetary ambitions. If one of you loses your job, how will you manage? If a medical emergency occurs, who pays? If one wants to travel and the other wants to save, how do you decide? Money is the material language of value and priorities. If you don't speak the same financial language, you will fight in silence every day until the silence turns into shouts. Fifth, the exit clause. Talk about what would happen if the relationship didn't work out before it becomes an emotionally charged reality. Who stays where? How do you divide accumulated costs? How do you separate shared assets? Does it seem pessimistic? Does it seem like distrust? No. It's mutual protection. It's maturity. It's recognizing that not everything in life is controllable, and that having a plan B doesn't weaken plan A, it strengthens it. Couples who discuss separation with clarity rarely separate, because they demonstrate the ability to face hard truths together. Sixth, the mirror of habits. Observe her habits regarding organization, cleanliness, eating, and routine. Visit her home. See how she maintains her environment. Is she organized or chaotic? Does she clean as she goes, or does she accumulate until she can't stand it? Does she cook, or does she order delivery every day? Does she wake up early, or does she live at night? These details that seem small become gigantic when you share the same roof every day. You won't change anyone. You are not a therapist. You are not a father. You are a partner. And a compatible partner is chosen, not created. Seventh, defining ours versus mine. Clearly delineate what is shared and what remains individual. The bedroom is ours, but the office is mine. The living room is ours, but the workshop is mine. The joint account is ours, but the personal account is mine. Do these seem like hard boundaries? They are. And boundaries are what allow two territories to coexist without war. Without these delimitations, you will wake up one day and realize you have nothing left that is solely yours. Not space, not time, not money. And when you have nothing that is solely yours, you are no longer you. You are an appendage. Let me show you what happens when you ignore all of this. Raphael, a software engineer, 32 years old. He moved in with his girlfriend without discussing finances because he thought it would be awkward, that it would show distrust. He earned more. He naturally assumed most of the bills. He paid for the apartment renovations. He paid for trips. She contributed little, and he never complained because he didn't want to seem petty. 2 years later, Raphael had accumulated credit card debt, felt he was being exploited, but couldn't verbalize it because he had never established an agreement. And the worst part, he lost attraction for her. She became dependent, passive, always expecting him to solve everything. The man she admired turned into the resentful provider. The resentful provider is not sexy. He is useful, and no one desires the useful. Raphael left the relationship poorer financially and emotionally. Gustavo, an entrepreneur, 38 years old. He moved into his girlfriend's apartment because it was larger, better located. He didn't establish boundaries for his home office. He didn't negotiate outings with friends. She wanted time together. He wanted to please her. He kept giving in. Poker night with friends became once a month. His office turned into her clothes storage. His meetings were interrupted because she needed to say something. Gustavo felt suffocated. His productivity dropped. His friendships weakened. And the arguments began. She complained he was distant. He complained he had no space. Neither of them was wrong. Both were reaping what they hadn't sown, the absence of clear agreements from the start. Gustavo left the relationship, recovering his space, but losing 2 years of professional development and valuable friendships. Pedro, a lawyer, 40 years old. He ignored the signs of his girlfriend's disorganization and financial impulsivity. She was affectionate, fun, beautiful. He believed that love would overcome these differences. They moved in together. The house became a chaos. She bought things impulsively. Bills were late. He constantly found himself putting out fires caused by her. He became her father. And when you become your partner's father, you kill desire. Pedro lost respect for her, and she lost admiration for him. The relationship ended in bitterness, and he swore never to ignore the signs again. Do you see the pattern? These men weren't weak. They weren't stupid. They made the same reactive mistakes that most people make. First mistake, assuming the role of the silent provider. You pay most of the bills without discussion. You take on responsibilities without negotiating. This generates overload and resentment. The consequence is financial imbalance and loss of respect. She won't admire you for being the silent provider. She will see you as the silent sucker. Second mistake, avoiding uncomfortable conversations. You shy away from discussions about money, chores, and boundaries to avoid spoiling the mood. The consequence is that unresolved problems accumulate and explode with triple the force later. Every conversation you avoid today turns into 3 arguments tomorrow. Third mistake, giving up hobbies and friends. You sacrifice your social life and personal interests to please your partner or spend more time together. The consequence is loss of identity, emotional dependence, and a brutal decrease in attraction. You become predictable, too available, without a life of your own. And that kills desire. Fourth mistake, ignoring red flags. You disregard warning signs about her character, habits, or values before the move. The consequence is that minor problems become bigger and harder to solve once you're already stuck in a rental agreement and shared furniture. Fifth mistake, expecting her to change. You believe she will change her negative habits or attitudes once you live together. The consequence is continuous frustration and recurring conflicts. People don't change for love. They change out of pain or conscious decision. If she didn't change before, she won't change after. Sixth mistake, merging finances immediately, combining all accounts and incomes without a clear strategy. The consequence is loss of financial autonomy and endless arguments about spending. When all your money is our money, you no longer have bargaining power or room for error. So what do you do now? Protocol. First step, map your boundaries. List 5 to 7 non-negotiables in your life. Alone time, specific hobbies, your own physical space, financial autonomy, friendships, career. Rationale. You need to define your frame before any negotiation. If you don't know what is non-negotiable for you, you will negotiate everything and lose everything. Second step, discuss finances in detail. Address salaries, debts, savings, expense division, and future financial goals. Rationale. This aligns expectations and avoids unpleasant surprises. Money is power. Whoever controls the money controls the relationship. The conversation needs to be balanced from the start. Third step, establish zones of autonomy. Define physical spaces and times in your schedule that will be exclusively yours. Rationale. This ensures the maintenance of individuality and reduces the feeling of suffocation. You need a place where no one disturbs you. You need time where no one makes demands on you. Fourth step, create a responsibility chart. Define who does what in terms of household chores, shopping, and maintenance. Rationale. This prevents one person from being overloaded and the other from feeling resentful. No one likes to feel like they are carrying the weight alone. Explicit balance prevents silent warfare. Fifth step, discuss the escape route. Talk openly about what would happen if the relationship ended. Rationale. This reduces anxiety and protects both parties' interests. When you have a clear plan B, you become less desperate to make plan A work at all costs. And paradoxically, this strengthens plan A. Sixth step, observe and record patterns. Pay attention to how she handles stress, money, and routine before moving in together. Rationale. This validates compatibility and emotional maturity. Don't just trust what she says, trust what she repeatedly does. Behavioral patterns under pressure reveal character. Here is the final truth no one wants to admit. Moving in together is not a romantic step. It's a merger of companies. You are one partner. She is another partner. You are combining assets and liabilities. You need due diligence. You need a partnership agreement. You need clear clauses about responsibilities, profit and loss sharing, resource management, and an exit plan. And you need all of this before you sign the lease agreement. If you do this, you drastically increase your chances of building a conscious, balanced, respectful, and lasting cohabitation. If you ignore this, you will become a statistic. Another man who lost money, time, identity, and respect because he believed that love alone solved everything. Love doesn't solve, love sustains. But only when it has structure, clarity, and respect as its foundation. So now you have a binary choice. You can continue believing in the romanticized version of cohabitation and discover the painful way why 50% of unions end. Or you can apply this protocol, have difficult conversations now, establish clear agreements, and build something solid that won't crumble at the first crisis. What you decide today determines what you live tomorrow. If you do nothing, tomorrow will be the same as today. And if today isn't good already, you know what awaits you. Go to the comments now and tell me, which of these points have you never discussed with your partner? Which red flag did you ignore? And if you already live together and are feeling the weight of not having done this before, it's never too late to start the conversation. But it will require more courage now. Because renegotiating is harder than negotiating. But it is possible and necessary. You have 72 hours to identify 3 uncommunicated expectations you have about cohabitation, to list 2 or 3 non-negotiables for your personal life, and to initiate an initial conversation with your partner about one of the topics I mentioned here: finances, personal space, responsibilities. Any one of them. 72 hours. The clock is ticking. Your autonomy, your money, and your identity depend on what you do now, not later, now.